vehicles. As such, they are important German cultural identifiers, often mentioned in hushed, reverential tones by motoring enthusiasts and looked at with a mix of awe and terror by outsiders. 1. Some speed limits are implemented on different Autobahns. 26. Certain limits are imposed on some classes of vehicles 60 km/h, 37 miles per hour, buses carrying standing passengers, motorcycles pulling trailers, 80 km/h. mph, vehicles with maximum allowed weight exceeding 3.5 t, except passenger cars. Passenger cars and trucks with trailers. Buses. 100 km/h, 62 miles per hour. Passenger cars pulling trailers certified for 100 km/h. Buses certified for 100 km/h not towing trailers. 27. Additionally, speed limits are posted at most on and off ramps and interchanges. 28. And other danger points like sections under construction or in need of repair. Where no general limit exists, the advisory speed limit is 130 km/h, 81 miles per hour, referred to in German as the Richtgeschwindigkeit. The advisory speed is not enforceable, however. Being involved in an accident driving at higher speeds can lead to the driver being deemed at least partially responsible due to increased operating danger, a Hauptbetriebsgefahr. The Federal Road Research Institute, Bundesanstalt für Straßenwesen, solicited information about speed regulations on Autobahns from the 16 states and reported the following. Comparing the years 2006 and 2008 parameter. 29, 2006-2008 change Autobahn total length 24,735 km, 25,240 km plus 505 km. No speed limit, advisory limit only, 69.2%, 65.5%, 580 km. Variable speed limit, with advisory maximum, 4.2%, 4.1%, 5 km. Permanent or temporary speed limit 26.7%, 30.4% plus 1,090 km. Except at construction sites. The general speed limits, where they apply, are usually between 100 km/h, 62 miles per hour, and 130 km/h, 81 miles per hour. Construction sites usually have a speed limit of 80 km/h, 50 miles per hour, but the limit may be as low as 60 km/h, 37 miles per hour. 30. In rare cases, sections may have limits of 40 km/h, 25 miles per hour, 31, or on one ramp 30 km/h, 19 miles per hour. 32. Certain stretches have lower speed limits during wet weather. Some areas have a speed limit of 120 km/h, 75 miles per hour, in order to reduce noise pollution during overnight hours, usually 10 p.m. 6 a.m., or because of increased traffic during daytime, 6 a.m. 8 p.m. Dynamic traffic signs on an Autobahn. Some limits were imposed to reduce pollution and noise. Limits can also be temporarily put into place through dynamic traffic guidance systems that display the corresponding message. More than half of total length of the German Autobahn network has no speed limit, about one-third has a permanent limit, and the remaining part shave a temporary or conditional limit. Some cars with very powerful engines can reach speeds of well over 300 km/h, 190 miles per hour. Major German car manufacturers except Porsche, follow a gentleman's agreement by electronically limiting the top speeds of their cars with the exception of some top of the range models or engines to 250 km per hour, 155 miles per hour. 33. These limiters can be deactivated, so speeds up to 300 km per hour, 190 miles per hour, might arise on the German Autobahn. But due to other traffic, such speeds are generally not attainable except during certain times like between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. or on Sundays, when truck drivers have to rest by law. Furthermore, there are certain Autobahn sections which are known for having light traffic, making such speeds attainable during most days, especially some of those located in eastern Germany. Most unlimited sections of the Autobahn are located outside densely populated areas. Vehicles with a top speed less than 60 km per hour, 37 miles per hour, such as quads, low-end microcars, and agricultural forward/construction equipment, are not allowed to use the Autobahn, nor are motorcycles and scooters with low engine capacity regardless of top speed, mainly applicable to mopeds which are typically limited to 25 km per hour, 16 miles per hour, or 45 km per hour, 28 miles per hour, anyway. To comply with this limit, heavy-duty trucks in Germany, for example mobile cranes, tank transporters etc., often have a maximum design speed of 62 km per hour, 39 miles per hour, usually denoted by a round black on white sign with 62 on it, along with flashing orange beacons to warn approaching cars that they are traveling slowly. There is no general minimum speed, but drivers are not allowed to drive at an unnecessarily low speed, as this would lead to significant traffic disturbance and an increased collision risk. Public debate. German national speed limits have a historical association, 34, with wartime restrictions and deprivations, the Nazi era, and the Soviet era in East Germany. Free driving for free citizens. Free Fahrrad für freie Bürger, a slogan promoted by the German Auto Club since the 1970s. 35, is a popular slogan among those opposing Autobahn speed restrictions. 36, 37, 38, Tarek El-Wazir, head of the Green Party in Hesse and currently the Hessian Transport Minister, has stated that the speed limit in Germany has a similar status as the right to bear arms in the American debate. At some point, a speed limit will become reality here, and soon we will not be able to remember the time before. It's like the smoking ban in restaurants. 39. Early history. The Weimar Republic had no federally required speed limits. The first crossroads-free road for motorized vehicles only, now a 555 between Bonn and Cologne, had a 120 km per hour, 75 miles per hour, limit when it opened in 1932. 4. In October 1939, the Nazis instituted the first national maximum speed limit, throttling speeds to 80 km forward/h, 50 miles per hour, in order to conserve gasoline for the war effort. 40. After the war, the four Allied occupation zones established their own speed limits until the divided East German and West German republics were constituted in 1949. Initially, the Nazi speed limits were restored in both East and West Germany. 41. After the World Wars. In December 1952, the West German legislature voted to abolish all national speed limits, seeing them as Nazi relics. 42. Reverting to state-level decisions. National limits were re-established incrementally. The 50 km forward/h, 31 miles per hour, urban limit was enacted in 1956. Effective in 1957. 43. The 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, limit on rural roads except autobahns became effective in 1972. Oil crisis of the 1970s. Just prior to the 1973 oil crisis, Germany, Switzerland, 44, and Austria, 45, 46, all had no general speed restriction on autobahns. During the crisis, like other nations, Germany imposed temporary speed restrictions, for example, 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, on autobahns effective the 13th of November 1973. 47, automakers projected a 20% plunge in sales, which they attributed in part to the lowered speed limits. 48. The 100 km forward/limit championed by Transportation Minister Loritz Lauritsen lasted 111 days. 49. Adjacent nations with unlimited speed autobahns, Austria, 45, 46, and Switzerland, 44, imposed permanent 130 km per hour, 81 miles per hour, limits after the crisis. However, after the crisis eased in 1974, the upper house of the German parliament, which was controlled by conservative parties, successfully resisted the imposition of a permanent mandatory limit supported by Chancellor Brandt. 50. The upper house insisted on a 130 km per hour, 81 miles per hour, recommended limit until a thorough study of the effects of a mandatory limit could be conducted. 51. Accordingly, the Federal Highway Research Institute conducted a multiple-year experiment, switching between mandatory and recommended limits on 2 test stretches of Autobahn. In the final report issued in 1977, the Institute stated a mandatory speed limit could reduce the Autobahn death toll, but there would be economic impacts, so a political decision had to be made due to the trade-offs involved. 52. At that time, the federal government claimed to impose a mandatory limit. 53. The fatality rate trend on the German Autobahn mirrored those of the nation's motorways that imposed a general speed limit. 54. Environmental concerns of the 1980s. In the mid-1980s, acid rain and sudden forest destruction renewed debate on whether or not a general speed limit should be imposed on autobahns. 55, 56. A car's fuel consumption increases with high speed, and fuel conservation is a key factor in reducing air pollution. Environmentalists argued that enforcing limits of 100 km forward/h, 62 miles per hour, limit on autobahns and 80 km per hour, 50 miles per hour, on other rural roads would save lives as well as the forest, reducing the annual death toll by 30%, 250 lives, on autobahns and 15%, 1,000 lives, on rural roads. Winking sad smiley 57. The German motor vehicle death toll was about 10,000 at the time. 58. The federal government sponsored a large-scale experiment with a 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, speed limit in order to measure the impact of reduced speeds on emissions and compliance. 59. Afterward, again, the federal government declined to impose a mandatory limit, deciding the modest measured emission reduction would have no meaningful effect on forest loss. 60. By 1987, all restrictions on test sections had been removed, even in Hesse where the state government was controlled by a red-green coalition. 61. German reunification. Prior to German reunification in 1990, Eastern German states focused on restrictive traffic regulations such as a 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, Autobahn speed limit and of 80 km per hour, 50 miles per hour, on other rural roads. Within 2 years after the opening, availability of high-powered vehicles and a 54% increase in motorized traffic led to doubling of annual traffic deaths. 62. Despite interim arrangements, which involved the continuation of speed limit of 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, on autobahns and of 80 km per hour, 50 miles per hour, outside cities. An extensive program of the 4S, enforcement, education, engineering, and emergency response, brought the number of traffic deaths back to pre-unification levels after a decade of effort while traffic regulations were conformed to Western standards. For example, 130 km per hour, 81 miles per hour, freeway advisory limit, 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, own of the rural roads, and 0.05% back. 63. Since reunification. In 1993, the Social Democratic Green Party coalition controlling the state of Hesse experimented with a 90-kilometer forward/h, 56 miles per hour, limit on autobahns and 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, on other rural roads. 64. These limits were attempts to reduce ozone pollution. During his term of office, 1998 to 2005, as Chancellor of Germany, Gerhard Schröder opposed an Autobahn speed limit, famously referring to Germany as an Autofahrer nation, a nation of drivers. In October 2007, at a party congress held by the Social Democratic Party of Germany, delegates narrowly approved a proposal to introduce a blanket speed limit of 130 km per hour, 81 miles per hour, on all German autobahns. 65. While this initiative is primarily a part of the SPD's general strategic outline for the future and, according to practices, not necessarily meant to affect immediate government policy, the proposal had stirred up a debate once again. Germany's Chancellor since 2005, Angela Merkel, and leading cabinet members expressed outspoken disapproval of such a measure. 66. In 2008, the Social Democratic Green Party coalition controlling Germany's smallest state, the paired city-state of Bremen and Bremerhaven, imposed a 120 km per hour, 75 miles per hour, limit on its last 11 kilometers, 6.8 mi, of speed unlimited autobahn. 67. In hopes of leading other states to do likewise. 68. In 2011, the first ever Green Minister-President of any German state, Wilfried Kretschmann of Baden-Württemberg, initially argued for a similar, state-level 120 km per hour, 75 miles per hour, limit. 69. However, Baden-Württemberg is an important location for the German motor industry, including the headquarters of Daimler AG and Porsche. 70. The ruling coalition ultimately decided against a state-level limit on its 675 kilometers, 419 mi, of speed unlimited roads, arguing for nationwide speed limit instead. 71, 72, 73. In 2014, the conservative liberal ruling coalition of Saxony confirmed its rejection of a general speed limit on autobahns, instead advocating dynamic traffic controls where appropriate. 74. Between 2010 and 2014 inches the state of Hesse, Transportation Ministers Dieter Posch, 75, and his successor, 76, Florian Rentsch, 77, both members of the Free Democratic Party, removed or raised speed limits on several sections of Autobahn following regular 5-year reviews of speed limit effectiveness, some sections just prior to the installation of Tarek El-Wazir, Green Party, as Transportation Minister in January 2014, 78, 79, as part of an uneasy Green coalition government. In 2015, the left-Green coalition government of Thuringia declared that a general Autobahn limit was a federal matter. Thuringia would not unilaterally impose a general statewide limit, although the Thuringian environmental minister had recommended a 120 km per hour, 75 miles per hour, limit. 80. In late 2015, Winfried Herrmann,